How much was the total price of everything? Looking back, would you pick a different wedding dress? Can you talk about the DJ drama? Did you guys have separate rooms the night before the wedding? Some of our guests run towards the sprinklers, get fully wet, so he walked up and left mid-wedding. Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you finally a proper sit-down wedding video. As you can read from the title of this video and my name change, I am officially married, which is so crazy to think about. It's been about 2 months since the wedding. If you guys follow me on any of my other platforms, you already know this, but we got married June 2nd in Dominican Republic. I truly cannot believe how fast the day came. It feels like yesterday when I got engaged and then started planning a wedding, but it turned out to be everything and more that I ever dreamed of. I truly could not have asked for a better wedding, and I wish I can relive it every single day, which is why I wanted to sit down and actually chat with you guys, because to me, you're all like my virtual bridesmaids. You guys have been following me for quite a while now. I asked you guys on Instagram to send me some questions, so without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So I originally intended to film this video right after the wedding, that way everything could still be fresh in my mind, but I then got back and started uploading everything on Instagram and TikTok, and it took a lot of my time, and I also wanted to just relax after the wedding, that I decided to put this off. And then a week later, I got extremely sick. Like, my body just gave up on me and said, girl, you need to relax. So that's what I did. I took that time off, but now we are here to chat about it all. So let's get started. So I got a few questions regarding having a destination wedding and if it's worth it, if it's cheaper than having it in the States, and just everything about it. So right off the bat, I wouldn't consider having a destination wedding to be a lot cheaper, especially in Dominican Republic. For some reason, the wedding market in Dominican Republic, it's truly skyrocketed. I mean, a lot of people are preferring to have destination weddings. Number one, to cut down the list. Number two, for it to be a vacation. And number three, hoping for it to be cheaper. But because the demand is higher now, it is getting more expensive, and vendors are charging in dollars, not in pesos. So that truly adds up in the end. It also depends where you're having it, the type of wedding, and how many guests to determine your end budget or amount for the wedding. We originally had 130 guests and only 103 went, which is great for us. However, a few people did cancel the week of, which we still had to pay for, but I understand that it's normal and common for people to cancel the week of any wedding, specifically destination weddings. There were a few reasons, but I would recommend, if you're having a destination wedding, to remind your guests about their passports and their expiration dates, because even though, let's say for example, your wedding is in June and their passport is expiring in August, some countries won't allow you to enter the country. The United States won't let you leave the country if your passport is expiring in like 3 months, I think, but definitely search that up because it might be different. 100% recommend following up with your guests if their passports are up to date if you're having a destination wedding. But talking about location specifically in Dominican Republic, if you have a wedding in Santo Domingo or Santiago, it would be cheaper than Punta Cana and Casa de Campo, just because a lot of the vendors would be local and you wouldn't have to pay for transportation and their stay and all of that, so you would save up a lot of money that way. What I did for certain vendors like rentals and the cake specifically, I did make sure that they would be local. So the planners got a few of the furniture and decorations from a vendor that is local to Punta Cana, and the cake we got it locally from La Romana, since our wedding was in Casa de Campo. Now, comparing prices from Punta Cana and Casa de Campo is obviously a lot more expensive, but Punta Cana is also very expensive. Now, to answer the question if it's worth having a destination wedding, now that it all happened and it was the best day of our lives, I can't say it wasn't worth it. However, there are definitely pros and cons to having a destination wedding, and a lot of the cons can definitely add up to your stress, but I would say that it's worth having a destination wedding now that it all happened, because to me in particular, it was very special to have it in my motherland. It was very special to share my culture, my country to our guests, and especially showing it to Eric's side of the family was really nice as well. Leading up to the wedding, I wanted to mesh both of our cultures, so it was nice that we had it in Dominican Republic, but then we also added a few American touches as well. I think I answered a little bit more about this in another video, but I did originally want our wedding to be in upstate New York. I just wanted like a woodsy vibe, which is why our theme of the wedding was an enchanted forest, and I think it was a really nice way to tie in everything that I truly wanted from an upstate wedding, which were like a lot of trees, a lot of nature. I didn't want our wedding to feel like a beach wedding. I didn't want any sand. I didn't want palm trees to be around, even though obviously there were palm trees in the country, but it didn't feel, at least to me, like a beach wedding. Another reason why I wanted to have it in the States was because I wanted to DIY a lot of the things that are fun for me. Like, I absolutely love DIYing things. I love being a part of the planning process, which, being someone that is so controlling, that was also nice to have a destination wedding and not necessarily be so controlling about every little detail, even though there were a lot of long 7-hour meetings controlling it all virtually. But all in all, it was worth having a destination wedding. I think the top question has to be budget and the amount of the wedding. So how much was the total price of everything, if you feel comfortable sharing? I know a lot of you guys are here for our wedding budget and the grand total cost of our wedding. So when I first started planning the wedding, I truly wanted to share absolutely everything about the wedding. I wanted to share exactly how much we paid and our grand total, just because I find it to be helpful and useful if that would be the case. However, I've learned my lesson throughout my years in social media that there's people that follow you for the right reasons, and then there's people that follow you not for the right reasons, and they love to give their opinion. And I understand that if I open that door, it basically just opens up a can of worms and a lot of unsolicited advice, unsolicited opinions, and just opinions that quite frankly don't matter and are not paying my bills. So to not taint my wedding and allow negative opinions come in, I'd rather avoid it. So I'm not going to share in detail the grand total. However, I will mention that we went way over our budget, like way over our budget. And there's different reasons for that, obviously. When I uploaded that video that went viral of us going over our budget, it's not that we went way over our budget that we can't afford it. Like, we did not take a loan. We paid full cash for everything. Eric and I both paid for our wedding, so it wasn't free, it wasn't sponsored. Nothing was sponsored about the wedding. No vendors gave us discounts. And the things that were gifted, I was very open about them all, like the stationery from Minted, a few of the products in the welcome bags, and some of the stuff for the bridesmaids were gifted for sure. And those, I was very open about them all. But back to the budget and what I meant by going over our budget, I originally, like any other bride, makes an imaginary budget number that is the ideal number that they would like to spend on their wedding, which for me was quite unrealistic. Like, I just didn't know the market. I didn't know the prices of things, so I just gave an imaginary budget. I will say our budget was 50 to 60, and it went way over that. So that is all that I'm mentioning regarding money. But my only advice is, do not take loans, do not go in debt for a wedding. No wedding is worth you going in debt for. If you have a dream wedding in mind and you feel like you can't afford it right now, don't have it right now. Wait a few years, save up for it, and then have it, or decide to have a more low-key wedding, which honestly, those are beautiful as well. Now, in terms of budgeting things, I would say make a list of your non-negotiables and your priority lists of things that you truly want at your wedding and what you're willing to spend more money on. So for me, for example, the photographer and videographer were at the top of the list, but there's people that don't care for a video, so you can save money there. However, I would recommend to save up for a videographer, even if you end up having someone more low-key, just because I feel like those memories, you'll never get them back unless they're in a video. Flowers were also at the top of my list. DJ was also at the top of my list, even though we'll get to that in a little bit. And I guess location was at the top of my list because I honestly only looked at Casa de Campo. It was the only location that I was truly interested if I was having a destination wedding. And it was mainly because of the church, if I'm being quite frank with you guys. I just loved the church in Altos de Chabón, and it was truly a dream location for me. So that was also at the top of my list. And then there's other things that are important for people, but they're not important for me. For example, I didn't care to have a band. I didn't care to have a photo booth. I didn't care to have like any of those like extra things. Oh, Hora Loca, 100,000,000% recommend spending your money there. Like, so worth it. And they're not even that expensive in my opinion. Like, they're quite doable, and they will make your wedding a memorable one for you and for your guests. Did you have a wedding planner? How did you find one? So a wedding planner, if you're having a destination wedding, in my opinion, is a must. Even if I was having a local wedding, I would have wanted to hire a wedding planner, and the way that I found it was via the Wedding Wire. The Wedding Wire is an amazing platform to find a lot of your vendors. I'm going to link it down below for you guys. But basically, you can find it by location. Even if you're having a local wedding, you can also just write New York wedding planners, and a lot of them will pop up. But I wrote Dominican Republic wedding planners, and I basically interviewed a lot of them just because I wanted to find someone that I could connect with, and that I knew it would be a good connection for them to plan our wedding for the rest of the year, because it would be a long year of planning. I took a lot of things into consideration when interviewing, and I had questions that I wanted to ask them, and depending on their answers and connection is what helped me basically narrow down my decision. And if you're wondering, I went with Invent Weddings. They are a team of two. One of them lives in California and the other lives in Dominican Republic. They were extremely amazing to work with and helped bring my vision to life. How did it go working with a makeup artist? I also got another question regarding the hairstylist. Who was your hairstylist for the day of the wedding? Would you recommend? So I wanted to answer these together because they are a team of hair and makeup. So I ended up going with Nathalie, which is a very well-known hair and makeup artist in Dominican Republic. My friend Pamela had hired him, and then she did her hair and makeup trial with him and absolutely loved him. I originally, if I'm being honest, wanted to do my own hair and makeup, but because she had such a great experience with her hair and makeup trial, I ended up going with him, and honestly, he was incredible. He did a phenomenal job. He is truly an artist and such an incredible makeup artist, but I do have to say, very expensive. So keep that in mind. That is another area in my budget list that wasn't too much of a priority, but then I ended up bumping it up on my list because obviously having a good hair and makeup was a priority for me. But yeah, he is very, very expensive. I would say he's worth it, but also explore the market in Dominican Republic, and I'm sure there's going to be other amazing makeup artists out there that are a little bit more affordable. Another con that I personally had, and also my friend Pamela had at her wedding, both having the same makeup artist team, is that they do run... What was that? Is that they do run late. So just keep that in mind. They might get their lates, which then will delay your timeline for your wedding day. Looking back, would you pick a different wedding dress? Absolutely not. No wedding dress regret here. That was my absolute dream wedding dress of my life. I was able to customize it and add many different things, like the overskirt, which was my #1 request and what I truly wanted. That was weirdly enough so hard to find a dress that already had an overskirt, so I ended up adding it, which added a lot more to my wedding dress budget. But yeah, I always wanted a dress that was like form-fitting and then an over massive skirt with a long veil, so it was my dream dress. And then they were also able to add a bodysuit that had some back lace detail. That way it would cover my back scar, because it's something that I just don't love about myself. So that made it extra special for me, because I truly wanted to have my hair up for the ceremony and then down for the reception, which, if you're having a Dominican wedding, try to have your hair in some sort of hairstyle. I wish I did like a braid or something afterwards. I still wanted it down, but I wish I would have done some sort of different hairstyle, because my hair did not last when I took it down from the bun. What vendor did you use for your custom coconuts at the welcome party? That was strictly Casa de Campo. So Casa de Campo has their own individual vendors that you can use from them. You can use their DJ, their Hora Loca, the cigar station, coconuts, many different vendors, photographers, videographers, planners even. They hand over a list of their vendors and basically people that you would want to work with, and then you can hire them either individually or as a wedding package. I didn't even look at the wedding package because I originally hired my wedding planners first and then went to Casa de Campo. What I did notice though, when having a Casa de Campo wedding, they will charge you extra if you don't have it under their umbrella of like their people. So they charge an extra 28% tax if you have an outside vendor. Any outside vendor. It could be the wedding planners, the photographer, the videographer, the makeup artist, any sort of outside vendor, they will charge you an extra 28%. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, the custom coconuts were through them. I don't have like their number or information because it was directly through them. I also did my cigar station from Casa de Campo and a few other things, but I'm pretty sure you can get it from outside vendors. Did you guys have separate rooms the night before the wedding? No, we did not. I feel like, I don't know, I mean, I wanted to, but because of the circumstances and like where we were and like where would Eric sleep, where would I sleep, it was just a lot of different factors that we just decided to sleep together. It was still special. We parted ways very early in the morning. We actually got ready in the same villa, funny enough, and we didn't see each other at all throughout the entire like getting ready process. So that was nice. But yeah, we did sleep together. What shoes did you wear for your events? Any recommendations? So for the day of the wedding, I had such a hard time trying to find my wedding shoes because I wanted them to be special. I wanted them to be comfortable and beautiful looking as well. And I wanted to splurge a little, but not too much where it would break the bank, because let's be honest, you'll never wear them again. And if you do, then you're picking not wedding shoes. So I went with Bella Bell, which they were the most comfortable shoes ever, like ever. 110% recommend getting your shoes from Bella Bell. They have so many different options, all bridal, all beautiful, and very unique as well. And you can possibly use them again, I don't know. But they were very comfortable and they matched my dress perfectly, weirdly enough. Like the little lace detail was perfection with my dress. Will you be setting your wedding outfits and items? Yes. The second I'm back from my honeymoon, I will be selling everything. So make sure you're following me on Instagram or Poshmark, but mainly Instagram because I will be posting them first there, and then whatever doesn't sell, I'll post it on Poshmark later. But yeah, I will be selling even my wedding dress. I will be selling if someone wants to buy it. I just don't have any attachments to my wedding dress. Like, I enjoyed it, I loved it. It was my absolute dream dress, but let's be honest, I'm never using it again. My future daughter, if I do have a daughter, won't wear it for the wedding. And yes, I've heard the many different ways that you can repurpose it. Like, she can cut it for her welcome party or rehearsal dinner, or you can make the baptism outfit with it. I don't know, I've heard so many different ways and I just don't care for any of those options. On top of that, the dress was so expensive for me to cut it up and make something that I can easily make way cheaper. I don't know, it just doesn't add up in my head. But if you're interested, the dress is for sale. This is what she looks like. She was perfection and 10 out of 10 would recommend. How did you lose weight before the wedding? So I mentioned in a previous vlog that I lost a lot of weight for the wedding, and by a lot is like a lot to me. It doesn't necessarily look it, but I definitely lost the weight that I wanted to lose and absolutely feel amazing. I am not here to tell people what to do with their bodies, so do with this as you please. But if you guys have been following me for a while now, you know how much I hate working out and diets. So what I did was cut down bread for good. For that like month and a half, perhaps two. I'm also just like the worst at consistency when it comes to working out and dieting. So I was very strict about no bread. Tried doing keto, but I hated it. It's not something that I think it's sustainable to keep. But I do think it helped, unfortunately. And the workouts that I would do would be like 3, max 4 days a week. And it would be lifting and treadmill, 12, 330. So 12 incline, 3 speed for 30 minutes, and then I would lift a little bit. And also I use my sauna a lot. So worth it. I think it truly like detoxifies you. It's just amazing. 10 out of 10. I'm going to link it down below for you guys. So worth it. Is there anything that didn't come out as expected and are still disappointed about? Can you talk about the DJ drama without saying who it is? Missed the live. So I'm adding those two questions together because they definitely have something to do together. First of all, I want to start off by saying our wedding was truly perfection. The way that it turned out, with the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the vibes were immaculate, as cringy as it sounds. I feel like everyone had such an incredible time, which was honestly what was stressing me the most, if I'm being honest. I just wanted everyone to have a phenomenal time, and I think we nailed it in that aspect. Now, obviously, with anything that you plan in life, there's going to be obstacles, there's going to be things that won't go as planned, and that is absolutely normal. And at the end of the day, it's what makes your day your day. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't change anything that happened for the world, because to me, our wedding was perfect. So now that that's out of the way, I'm going to spill the tea and basically share everything that happened in that live if you missed it, as well as everything that went wrong at the wedding. But before, leading up to the wedding, I was very, very anxious and stressed. And my main concern throughout the entire wedding process was enjoying the ride and being able to enjoy the actual wedding day, because I am someone that is very control freak, very micromanaged. As a true and through Capricorn, I am a controlling ass. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I absolutely love hosting, and whenever I'm hosting, I have a hard time enjoying and being in the moment and not like freaking out throughout the entire process. So now, planning the wedding, knowing how much money we were spending, I kept telling myself and repeating myself. It was like a meditation phrase that I would tell myself every time, to just let go, let God, and truly enjoy however our day would turn out that day. And I feel like because I kept repeating that to myself throughout the entire wedding process, I was mentally prepared to enjoy the day again with whichever obstacle was thrown our way. I also kept telling myself to just let go of things that were no longer in my control For example, the weather. I was very much stressed about the weather. Obviously, as anyone planning a wedding, especially an outdoor wedding or a destination wedding, you would dream and hope that your wedding week has the most perfect, beautiful weather. So the week before us leaving to the Dominican Republic, I kept checking the weather and it said it was going to rain every single day we would be there for the wedding week. And I was truly stressed. I was distraught. I was very concerned. I also told myself, you know, weather in Dominican Republic moves and changes quite often and daily. And on top of that, that was something that I couldn't control. I can't control weather. So what we did was just get a plan B just in case it rained. Thankfully, it didn't rain. However, it did rain literally the second I got in the bus to head to the ceremony, which affected the cocktail hour because that was truly outdoors. The actual reception had a tent, but things got wet and it was like very windy, so they had to rearrange everything. I didn't know any of this until the day after, like a week after, I think, from the planners, which was great on them to like execute and problem solve in the moment without stressing the bride. But something that went wrong right off the bat after the ceremony, as we're heading to the bus, the planner pulls me aside and she's like, "Hey Nat, just want to let you know, in the reception behind the DJ there was a wall that had 3 arches with LED screens, and those exploded and they basically had to remove them." So the planner let me know right before heading into the reception, which was great because I would rather know. But I told her like, no problem, I'm fine with that, great. It actually ended up turning out way better than having it with the screen because you can see the ocean view. That was one of the main reasons why I ended up selecting that specific villa, because they had the ocean view. So it was great, no problem there. Now regarding the DJ, as you guys know, especially if you follow me here on YouTube, you know that music is very, very important to me. Making the music playlist was one of the most stressful parts of the wedding for me because I wanted to basically please everyone going and keep it modern, but also have classics and old school music that many different people would like. Because at the end of the day, not only do we have a language barrier with our guests, because, you know, we have Eric's side, which is American, and then my side, which is Dominican, we also have different people going, different age groups, and different genres at the end of the day, right? So I really try my hardest to curate this perfect playlist for our DJ. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, a DJ was top tier important for me, so I really wanted to invest in that aspect. The planners actually recommended 2 different DJs. They were way cheaper than the one that I ended up going with, but I still kept saying no because I wanted this specific guy. He's a very well-known DJ in Dominican Republic, and I just love his vibe and atmosphere, and from the weddings that I've seen on social media, I loved the way that he performed, or like the music that he would play. He's very modern, so I just loved his vibe. And he was also a DJ that could play English and Spanish music quite well together. So even though he was more money, I still hired him and I had meetings with him, absolutely loved him. Eric and I got along really well with him and we got an amazing vibe from our meeting and we loved him. I mean, he was like my top 1 choice from the beginning of me planning this wedding. So long story short, because they had to remove the LED lamps behind him, he now had that like clear view of the ocean. And there were sprinklers behind him that randomly decided to go off mid-wedding. Not even kidding. I don't even remember the time. I think it was during dinner. It was right before the speeches is what I remember. But the sprinklers go off and they are going off. Like they're wetting everything. They're wetting the dance floor, they're wetting him, and we're all kind of like, whoa, like let's problem solve, we're going. When that happened, actually, Eric and I were making our rounds, saying hi to people, taking pictures, and then we immediately ran towards him. Eric was running, trying to find towels and helping him out, and I asked him, "How are you doing? Like, is everything okay? What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh no, I'm fine, I'm fine." And I was like, okay, so he seems fine. Eric is dabbing his equipment. Long story short, his equipment got wet. There was no turning off the sprinklers. While all of this is still going on and us helping him out, the sprinklers are still going off. Like they're not stopping. So some of our guests run towards the sprinklers, get fully wet. They put like buckets and stuff and stopped it. It sounds really crazy and traumatic, but it wasn't. It was actually really hot, so a lot of our guests, they just had fun running towards the sprinklers. But yeah, that's besides the point. He keeps saying that he's fine, so we leave him alone. We go sit down, we have our dinner. Our friends and family are about to start their speeches, so we are just having a chill, low-key moment. And the wedding continued as normal. Like everything was completely normal after that. However, I do remember not seeing him up on stage, but I didn't realize until the end of the night that he had left. So he walked up and left mid-wedding. We didn't hear from him. He didn't come up to us before leaving or apologizing, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna have to leave, my equipment isn't working. Or even the next day, like at least the next day saying, hey, I'm sorry that I had to leave your wedding, but I couldn't continue performing due to my equipment being wet, right? That would have been fine. And he also, I'm sure, was upset that first night, so he could have at least said it and reached out the next following day, but he didn't. 2 weeks go by and I have not heard from this man. He has not reached out to us or anything. All I know is that the planners are telling me that we apparently owe him money. However, we didn't even get to enjoy him at all. He left mid-wedding. The party hadn't even started yet. Thankfully, the people that helped building the tent and lighting were still there, so they basically were just playing Oxford and their music from their phone. Crazy enough. I didn't find out this until the end, by the way. But yeah, he was asking us for money. I kept telling the planners that he owes us money because he left mid-wedding, that then the solution would have just been squashed because he owes us money, we owe him money, so that money should be taken towards his equipment. On top of that, he should have some sort of insurance, and it's no one's actual fault. Like, no one knew these sprinklers were going to go off. We had been staying in that villa a few days before and that didn't happen. The tent was actually up a few days before the wedding. Long story short, it's been 2 weeks. I have not heard from this man, so I go on live and someone asks what went wrong at the wedding, and I basically spill the tea and I mention it. I mention his name and I mention, please do not go and message this guy. And a bunch of people started going to his page and messaging him and basically saying DJ Crybaby and calling him names. Mind you, I'm on live, so I can't check what people are commenting. And then all of a sudden, he joins the live and he's like, tell Eric to call me. And I read it out loud jokingly, like, oh, Eric, he wants us to call him, but we don't even have his number, right? And then he's like, get me in the live, get me in the live. And I was like, okay, bet, I'll get you in the live. Because I feel like if I'm saying my perspective, might as well he also shares his perspective that I have not heard from in 2 weeks. So he joins the live, very, very angry and defensive and just no good vibes. He's upset, obviously, because people are commenting mean things. Mind you, I kept telling people not to, and I say it in front of him. I was like, oh my God, I told people not to comment negative things. I was just sharing my experience. You left mid-wedding. What's going on? He's like, what did you expect? How was I supposed to stay? My equipment wasn't working. Mind you, my planners told me that his computer was still working, that he could have connected his computer to the aux with the playlist that he had, that I sent him. And long story short, he ended up looking worse on social media all on his own with his actions. I have not heard from him since, and I would not recommend him. But yeah, that was the DJ drama that you guys truly wanted. I am extremely hot, so I'm going to turn the AC on really quickly. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to hear that, but I am so hot in this room. Did you get your wedding bouquet preserved? No, unfortunately. I did hung it upside down so it's dried, but I didn't preserve it in time. However, I think I'm going to take the same types of flowers and try to preserve it myself, like pretend that it's the wedding bouquet, because all I wanted was like some flat, nice preserved leaves so that I can put it around like the wedding invite. Things that surprise you, good or bad. I have to say just how much love you feel the week of the wedding from people. It's truly such a special feeling having all your loved ones near. Like, I feel so grateful that I was able to have my grandparents there. And just like celebrating us and our love. And something else that shocked me was like how in love Eric and I felt the week of the wedding, and also like the week after the wedding. We were truly on cloud nine, I'll just say that. I just felt like us being in a relationship for as long as we have, that we would just feel like normal coming back. But it feels like a different type of unity of forever, like forever, like this is my person that I'm going to die with. Like it's so beautiful and I love it. And then something else, obviously with how much money we spent and me being a Capricorn, throughout the entire process, I'm like, dude, this is a lot of money. We are spending a lot of money for a day. And not even a day, a few hours. But when I tell you that every single penny was worth it, I'm not even kidding. Like, we do not regret all the money that we spent. So if you're in the thick of it right now in the wedding process, trust me, it will be all worth it. Do you feel like you overpacked, or do you feel like you were missing things? No, girl. I overpacked, and I overpacked way too much. However, I prefer that anytime and any trip rather than like missing stuff and like feeling like, oh crap, I left that. So yeah, we paid a pretty penny for the extra luggages that we took, but in my opinion, it was well worth it because I would rather have that sanity rather than stressing not having things, especially when you have a destination wedding. Did you do the ceremony in Spanish and English? And if so, how was it? Did you like it? Yes, our ceremony was Spanish and English. I originally wanted it to be mainly English and then some Spanish here and there, just because I didn't want to make it too long. But I do have family members that don't speak any English, so I'd rather everyone understand it. Therefore, we did fully Spanish and English. I think it's worth it. It's nice because everyone gets to understand and you get to include everyone in the wedding. Except for our vows, those were mainly English, and that was because we were reading them to each other. So we wrote and read them in English. Do guests that don't stay at Casa de Campo have to pay to enter the place? No, they don't. Some of our guests didn't stay inside of Casa de Campo. That is also an option. It's cheaper if you find something outside. I find it to be more inconvenient to the guests because they wouldn't be able to be a part of certain things, or like, you know, if we're meeting at the pool the next day or something, they wouldn't be able to be a part of that. But if you have an event, so for example, the welcome party and the wedding day, you basically give them the list of the people that are entering. Since Casa de Campo is a gated community, they do need access to enter. So you need to submit a form with their full name and passport photos of everyone entering that is not staying inside of Casa de Campo. How many extra days before and after did you stay, and was it necessary? I wouldn't say that it's necessary, but it was definitely necessary for my peace of mind. I just loved being there a few days before the wedding, being able to unpack and unwind and just relax. Especially just Eric and I, we got to have one day before anyone got there. So we were able to just like enjoy just him and I that day, which was nice. And then a few of our guests also started arriving a little bit earlier than the wedding, which was nice because we got to see them and hang out with them before the big day. So we arrived on Monday, the wedding was on Friday, and we left on Sunday. We didn't stay many extra days after. We only had technically Saturday to truly unwind, and then we left Sunday. I would have wanted to leave Monday because that way you have at least 2 days to just like truly recover, because girl, you're gonna need the recovery day. Let me just say that. Did you have a full open bar at the welcome party and at the rehearsal dinner? We didn't have a rehearsal dinner. We only had the welcome party, and then we went and had dinner afterwards, like regular dinner, but we did have an open bar at the welcome party and of course at the wedding. Any vendors that you found a must and any that you would have skipped on if on budget? I would say an absolute must is Hora Loca. Do not skip on that. It was truly amazing and it made our wedding an incredible one for our guests. And skip on, personally for my wedding, I would kind of say like the late night snack, just because I didn't get to enjoy it. But I don't know if a lot of our guests got to enjoy it, because if that's the case, then sure, it's worth it. But because we were mainly on a dance floor, we didn't get to like go out and get the late night snack, which were chimi. We had like a chimi stand, which was really cool. But yeah, we didn't get to really enjoy that. Personally, I skipped on a photo booth, so I would say skip on that. I just find certain activities, if you have activities outside of your tent, people are not going to be at the dance floor. And what I wanted was people at the dance floor. So that's what we ended up going for. We had a cigar station at the welcome party, but I wouldn't recommend it for the wedding reception because men will just stay outside smoking the cigar. Is the trip prior to the wedding a must for a destination wedding? Personally, I find it to be a must, but I'm just a control freak and micromanager. So I liked being able to view the venue, select the venue in person, select certain vendors in person. I got to do my hair makeup trial. I got to do cake tasting, not that that mattered for me. And we got to select a few decor pieces in person as well, which was great. So I'll link that video down below for you guys if you missed it. This was a very popular question. What were those round fireworks around you guys on the dance floor called? And were the fireworks on the dance floor very expensive? So one of my favorite parts of the wedding was definitely the first dance with Eric. That was something that we kept a secret from everyone, which was nice to see everyone's reaction that day. Was it expensive? Yeah, it was a pretty penny. I'm filming the wedding video. You don't want to say hi?
Hello.
I'm talking about the fireworks. Was it expensive?
Oh, the sparklers?
Was it worth it? Eric doesn't know.
Was it on fire?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's something else.
They were great though. They weren't too hot.
No, they weren't.
I think it was totally worth it.
So the name, if a lot of people are asking the name, they're called cold fireworks. So like cold as in like temperature wise.
They got me in the back of the neck, but they really weren't that hot.
Yeah.
Like I thought they'd be hotter.
Yeah. No, sorry.
People worried about my hair.
Yeah.
Products
and my hair too, with my hairspray.
My hairspray. It's definitely worth it for the photos and the videos. Like my grandma's reaction.
Oh my god, yeah, seeing everyone's reaction. But yeah, they're called cold sparklers, and yeah, it's 100% worth it in my opinion. I think it made it special.
Yeah.
And
it added to like the theatrical, like the vibe.
100%.
It was great. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of planning.
Do you feel like it was
stressful?
Worth it?
Oh my god, totally. It didn't feel like it until we got there, and then I was like, oh my god, this is all like we really put a lot of work in to set this up, and cost a lot of money, and it was a lot of organizing and planning and stressful in our relationship, but it really did.
Weddings are a test to your relationship.
No one tells you that.
But all in the best way possible.
And now we get to leave tomorrow and celebrate our honeymoon.
I know, we're going on our honeymoon tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. That was nice that Eric joined.
I made it.
I know.
3:30, baby.
Oh yeah.
Should have told me I would come home earlier.
But yeah, thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye.